Hey everyone, welcome to Mindset Talks Life Beyond the Checkboxes. I'm John Jaramillo, Leadership Performance Coach.
I'm Prati Kaufman. I'm a marketing energy coach and entrepreneur.
As your co host for this series, we want to have real everyday conversations. We're both coaches, but we don't want to come to this conversation as coaches necessarily, not bringing kind of the check boxes that you start with in coaching, but kind of having those everyday in between sessions, in between the work conversations of just issues that come up. So we break down these topics just based on our experience, what we've seen, and what we want to bring to the table. So the topic we want to cover today is, what do you do when you have mixed feelings? And Prati, this is one, in the course of this program, we try to, you're suggesting topics, I'm suggesting topics, or we both come up with one. This is one that you had brought up. So what is it that you've seen that kind of inspired you to bring this to the table? What is it about mixed feelings that you've seen around you or experienced yourself?
Yeah, we always experience mixed feeling, but it really came from a conversation. I was coaching somebody because I do a lot of energy coaching, the alignment coaching. And it came because typically when you're sure of something, it feels good, right? When you're sure of something, there's no doubts in the mind. And even if there are doubts, they don't matter, right? They're so insignificant compared to what you believe in. So I said, when you are in that place, the decisions are amazing. Like you will make the best decision possible and you will trust more. So though that was going on, then the person asked me, what if I have mixed feeling about something? And that was like, I felt like it was such a great question when it comes to managing, understanding what happens. Either say yes and no, but what about there's a yes and there's a no? What do you do in those circumstances? So that's where it came from, really, that what to do when you have mixed feelings about something.
So what do you think about that?
So my answer to her was really that mixed feeling only means one thing, that you're not fully in alignment with that thought, right? Your mind, there's a battle between mind and heart, typically, okay? Either we are being too objective, and there's a part of us is saying, no, 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 but we are like, logically, that makes sense to me. I'm not saying there's either or wrong. It's something, it's a confused state because a part of you wants to go safe, part of you wants to not be safe, okay? And there's this kind of a friction going on. To me, that's when I love having mixed feeling because that's when you really get clarity in life, right? That's when you know that there's some more work to be done. So for me, I heard my answer was like really, really tap into that mixed feeling and give yourself time, day or two to make a decision. But in my case, I drop into my gut. I always say, heart is too emotional, mind is too logical. The gut is what makes me know like what the right step is. The right step can feel like a wrong step at times. And you take a step and things all backfire, but I still feel that is the right step to do, if that makes sense. So that's what I told her, that when you have a mixed feeling, just sit with it and make a decision.
There was so much you just mentioned.
I know too many things in one
No,
house.
not a bad thing, but that's the way that I look at it. It's like, what? I don't even know where to start. There's just, and I didn't. When you mentioned mixed feelings, I'm like, okay, when do I have mixed feelings? Because as I've gotten older, I'm kind of more decisive. I'm a little more selfish with my reasoning. And again, as we've talked about, not selfish in terms of taking away from other people, but not just doing it for a place where I need everybody to be at peace. First, I have to make sure that I'm at peace with what's going on. Sometimes it's not comfortable. I can't come up with like a situation where it comes up. But I like you, I love the fact that you just mentioned that you like sitting in that you don't have to be comfortable, that you don't have to know right away. I think we live in a society where it is way too much black and white. It is way too much yes versus no. It is way too much me versus you. Only one of us can have what we want 100%, and there's no in between. And there's so much nuance. It depends what we're talking about. Um, yeah, I think like you, I when I've had mixed feelings, I just try to make the case as much for which one feels more natural. Like you said, your gut feeling. I'm a Libra, so I'm very indecisive, and I'm not even into astrology. I'm not even into the signs, the woo-woo stuff, as my friend Jess calls it. But I do believe that because I'm a Libra, I am cursed to indecision. I'm cursed to originally cursed to having making sure that everybody was happy. And I'm still like that. I just don't give as much away from what I wanted to make other people happy. But I like, again, going back to what you said, I like that discomfort. I like that discomfort because you have to work out of it. You have to think things through. Um, Maybe in that discomfort, you show other people that there are different ways of reasoning. There are different positions that you don't just say, this is what I want to do because that's the closest to me. This is what I want. This is the safest to me. No, like what's cursed me going back to that Libra thing is just that I'm able to see all sides. I mean, there are instances where I don't at all. Racism, right? It's a topic, racism. But I have mixed feelings in terms of how race is talked about. And I mean, that's a different conversation. But for me, racism is black and white. It's to me, it's just completely wrong. It shouldn't take place. But the way the conversation takes place, that's what I take issues with. The way that people talk to each other, that's what I have mixed feelings about. So in those instances, I sit back and listen a little more to see how I can help carry that conversation forward. And you made another great point where you don't have to make that decision. So I feel comfortable not making decisions. And again, there's times and places where you need to and where you don't. Luckily, I haven't come to a point where I need to absolutely make a decision. It's stuff where there's kind of gray area where you can function and you can put the decision off. But yeah, at first, when you brought this up, I'm like, hey, what am I going to even talk about? But as you shared where that came from, God, I could talk.
I
There's
know.
so much nuance in it. I could talk about it for days.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Sometimes we also use, and that's what I said, do not use these mixed feelings to stay where you are. Because it's so easy. Oh, I'm so confused, so I won't make a decision. At the end of the day, you need to decide, but give yourself time. I always say it's okay to take time, but it's not okay to take act, like never to take action, right? To stay, it's very energy draining. When just imagine your right hand is asking you to do one thing, your left hand is asking you one thing, and you're continuously struggling with that. Just imagine functioning like that continuously. One is saying, oh, let's eat. One is saying, oh, let's have water. And you are like, neither eating nor having water. You're going to die eventually if you keep doing this. Correct? So, I know it's being very like a high level of morbidity, but you understand when you are staying in that indecisiveness, there's a part of you which is draining nonstop. So just imagine your body parts have to function together. They come to the same. If I want to speak, I need my brain, heart, everything has to kind of create the same message so I can communicate properly. But if all parts of you are going in different direction, one wants to do another thing, one wants to sleep, one wants to eat, one wants to, so universal, I think, is a law. Naturally, scientifically, we want to make same decision, right? But then the mixed feelings are also needed in order to understand where are the gaps
Mm.
within us. And if you use that as a tool to figure that out and just do your best and move on from that and just make a decision, good or bad, I always say, at least you will know what's working and what's not working. There's a little more clarity.
Yeah, and out of all the topics that we've talked about, this is the one that's like it's like the one that has the most gray area just because that those mixed feelings can go from how do I feel about a person to how do I feel about a project to how do I feel about I don't know, picking a house that I'm moving into or how do I feel about relatives or how do I you can fill it in, you can have mixed feelings. This is we talked about how we go about making choices. I forget what the specific topic of the episode was, but just that, like mixed feelings, like we have to make so many choices in our lives, thousands of choices in a day. And having mixed feelings is just one more choice. It's like the ultimate level choice where you have to pick between two extremes. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. Some are more severe than others. Some you have to make a decision right away. But I guess it depends on what it is and how much time you have before you have to actually make a decision. Um, but again, yeah, in the past, I used to jump to decisions, maybe felt that I needed to make decisions, maybe felt that I had to explain my decisions to somebody else. And there may be cases now where I do. Um, but yeah, I tend to thrive in the chaos. I tend to thrive when there are no rules. I don't like rules because I think we play it safe when there are rules. So when there's indecision, I guess that makes me even more in that Libra. When there's chaos and nothing is organized, that's when you said, like you said, you know where the boundaries are, you know where the limits are, you know where the ground is, you know where the foundation is. So I thrive in chaos because it shows you what's what. So when you have mixed feelings, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of an instance where that's been the case. I can talk about this for days, but I can't tell you about a moment that I've had mixed feelings aside from that the race conversations thing. Um,
I
it's
can give an example. So right now
yes,
it's happening
please.
with me actually. So I have this prospect client, correct? Very on and off with the communication. Okay, she's ready to sign up and all, and I'm using, it could be anybody. It doesn't matter, right? And I've been stood up by her a couple of times for the meetings. So I have a very mixed feelings about her already. That is that the kind of person I want to work with. So I do have a very mixed feeling, and I'm leaning more towards, no, I don't want to. But to be fair, for me, right, it's important to communicate. So I plan to send an email. Hey, this is what I'm feeling. Okay. And I understand, whatever is going on in your life, that's where you are. But I don't think this could work for us in long term. So at the moment, when you are ready, when life is a little less stressful, let's come back together if you still feel the need to come back later. Okay. But that's how I am managing it, where I'm clearly communicating on the things like, if we are to work together, this is XYZ is important to me. These are my top values. I understand, the clients, you should work with all kind of clients, but I personally prefer to work with the clients who share the same values. And if there's one of the values is missing, I know it's not going to be a healthy working relationship. So I have a very mixed feeling about her. I really like this person. I love everything this person is doing. I really would love to support, because I know that kind of business we can rock it, like we have specialized in. But at the same time, I'm like, I know, but do I want to deal with this every single day? So I'm really in a
Okay.
mixed feeling state at the moment about it, and I haven't made a final decision yet. But I given myself this week to either yes or no, and just clean break.
What's interesting about that is I have had that kind of situation with a client, and you want to make sure that a client, like you said, is going to take serious the work, because it's not just about them getting better, but it's about your time, your opportunity cost. You could be working with somebody else, different reasons for why it can harm your business. And it got me thinking what you were just saying, that I couldn't see where I had mixed feelings because, as we talked about habits in a previous episode, where at first that kind of situation I may have had mixed feelings, but then I've kind of programmed myself to look for certain things. So you may have a similar situation that happens now, 3 years from now, 6 years from now. Now it's kind of like a mixed feeling. Next, in 3 years, you have a better sense of what you want. You get closer to refining it. And then in 6 years, you're like, okay, I've seen this before. So now my mind is programmed that this isn't going to work from the very get go. I know. So I don't have that, I guess, squishiness of that gray area because I've seen it before. So I think a lot of what's going on in my life, maybe I've seen it before. So I used to have mixed feelings, but my mind has just been trained where, listen, from the get go, just know we've seen this. We, meaning me, we've seen this kind of behavior before. We know it doesn't end up any place that's going to work best for me and that client. These are the actions that you should take. But I applaud you for saying, I'm going to reach out to them and say, listen, I don't think, once you have everything set, just based on my experience, it doesn't seem maybe like you do for now. Reach out when you do it. And it should be a respectful thing on their part too. But I think you also refine the way you think about different areas of your life where, again, it could be vague one moment and then a few years or a few times down the road you already know, you've seen it before, and you know a little more what you stand for, you know a little more what you'll put up with or tolerate. Because that factors a lot into life is how much you're willing to tolerate.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many situations right now. Like I said, my son is going through the mixed feeling about not having a mask in school. Like he's having kind of a tough time with it, right? Because
Mm,
his new normal has become the mask. The fact is, all his life, right? The years of years of normal of not having a mask, it doesn't matter anymore. So he's having a tough time, mixed feeling about whether I want to do it or I don't want to do it. So even with that freedom, he has a little bit of struggle with it, right? And I am not like interfering in it. Eventually he'll figure this out. It's not a big deal to me where I need to sit on it. It's all going to work out like that. That is a situation where things will work out on its own. Like I don't need to interfere so much and give a whole lot of thinking to this energy to this process. But you see, like, I think we're all going through every single day. There's certain things, certain things the time will take care of it. Certain things are not even relevant. It's fine. Again, whatever you do is not a big effect, right? But there's certain things make an impact overall in the business, in life, way more than the other things. Like people struggle, right? Like divorce. Let's take a situation. Typically, I've seen women struggle for 3 to 4 or 5 years, even, right? Have mixed feelings about it before they will say no. That's a long term decision, right? They make a decision every day to stay in, and then they think about not. So there's so many nuances of this mixed feeling and how we manage it. But idea here is to keep getting clear and clear and clear. So every decision should bring you a little more close to a final decision or a little more clarity. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, and we've said it before, we're speaking, from experience, I'm meaning our own experience, but this is gonna be there are so many nuances across people, it's gonna look different for different people, everybody has different experiences, perceptions, and it's amazing how your perception changes, like you said, like I said, everything evolves from one decision to, the same decision in my 20s would probably look a lot different now that I'm in my 40s, have a family, and life looks completely different. This episode is the same as every other one where it's kinda like we want the people listening and watching just to get a sense for what it is that how they handle their mixed feelings, what it is that they may be giving up by not making a decision, making a decisions. It depends from situation to situation, but it's about thinking about your thinking. It's about really stepping back and seeing what's important. I think too many of us operate reactively in real time, and we don't step back and really think about the process we use. So my tip to people is step back and think about what you have mixed feelings about. Reach out to somebody that you trust to say, listen, this is what I'm going through. In the past, maybe I've had the same situation. I don't think I've made the right decision, but circumstances have changed. Who do you trust? Don't dwell on it too much. As Prati said, if you sit there and just dwell on it too much, you're paralyzing yourself. So I think a lot of people just need to kind of take a breather, step back, and don't forget to do what works first for you, not taking from other people, but yes, being selfish. Because I think people like myself, when I was younger, I think we gave too much away to other people when it came to decisions like that. There's the toxic positivity that we've talked about, Prati. But step back and think about that process. Don't feel like you're alone in the process to make these kind of decisions.
Exactly. I think I would say the same thing. I think our first responsibility as a human being are, to really grow as who we are, our personal growth. We owe it to ourselves for just being here on this earth. So yes, decisions are typically, when we have mixed feelings, you're thinking about a lot of things. At the end of the day, you have to do right by you before you can do right by others. If you keep doing right by others and never right by you, you're never going to do right by anyone. That is the fact. At the end of the day, that is what it matters. So again, I think mixed feelings for me, I like having those because that's where I know I'm going to grow more as a human being in my thinking process. Everything is going to come from that place, and I take it for that. But even if you're not that in that space, it's okay. It's okay to just move one foot at a time. That's all it is.
Yeah. Everybody's experience is going to be different. Again, I love the chaos and the creativity of having mixed feelings. It gets me to think differently about something that maybe has always been around, but and the biggest thing I can say also is just it's going to change from one experience to the next. You're going to keep evolving. So just keep doing what you need to do. But yeah, open your mind up, look at what's taking place, and if you need to reach out to somebody to talk about what's going on, definitely do that.
Yeah.
So at this point, let's wrap up. So thank you for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you're watching, subscribe if you're listening. Reach out, let us know what you thought of the conversation. If there's any other topics that we should bring up, we're open to talking to anyone about anything. Again, I think it's just the mixed feelings. For me, I like chaos. So if there's something that I haven't covered, Prati hasn't covered, we haven't talked about, I like dwelling in that because it kind of throws me out of my comfort zone, and we'll come out better the other side just because we're sharing ideas. So keep that in mind, and until the next episode, take care.
Take care. Bye.